Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of HowToIT. My name is John and today I'm going to show you how to optimize your Windows 7 workstations. A lot of this is going to seem very similar to what we did in the Windows XP workstation, but Windows 7 is different enough that I thought it warranted an episode of its own. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to want to disable all of the graphical improvements that Windows has done. This is the quickest and probably most effective performance boost we can get. So if we go down here to the Start button, Windows 7 is nice that you can pretty much type anything you want into this search bar here and find it. So I'm going to type the word appear because the thing I'm looking for is to adjust the appearance and performance of Windows. So opening that, brings me right here to this menu. I can hit adjust for best performance and apply. We can see that takes effect right away, disables the arrow interface if you have it enabled, and brings us back down to a simple user interface. Here on the desktop I'm going to go ahead and disable the background again. In Windows 7, when you right click on the desktop, you have the option to personalize rather than just the desktop settings, and this is where we're going to change that background. So clicking down here at desktop background, then on the drop down box up top here I'm going to choose solid colors, and I'm just going to go with the nice dark blue and hit save changes. I can then close out of this window and we're back at what a workstation should look like. The next thing I'm going to show you how to do is to actually disable the Gadget platform in Windows. You noticed how when we right-clicked on the desktop it said Gadgets in this list here. This is actually something we don't want because the Gadget platform is both a security vulnerability and it does take its toll on our processor. So if we go down to the Start menu, type in Optional Features, all one word, you can see it comes up with the match, so I hit Enter. This brings up the Windows feature checklist, which we can actually use to disable a lot of different components in Windows. For instance, we can turn the included Windows games off if we want to. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and scroll all the way to the bottom and turn off the Windows Gadget platform. After hitting OK, it takes a few moments, and it will request that we reboot the computer to fully disable the Gadget platform. I'm going to save the reboot for later, but I will let you see what it does when it disables the service here. Alright, we want to restart later, and then it just brings us right back to the desktop. The next thing I'm going to show you how to disable is another one of those graphical overlay programs. However, this one is also a security program. So if I go down here into the Start menu, I'm going to type UAC for User Account Control. It's the only match that pops up. And I'm just going to disable the User Account Control by sliding this bar all the way to the bottom. Now the User Account Control is when the screen dims and this box appears. This is a nice security feature in Windows 7. However, the act of dimming the screen and popping up this box I've actually seen take up to 5 minutes on slower computers. So when we disable this, I'm going to go ahead and hit yes for the last time and ignore the pop-up balloon asking me to restart my computer. Now this next change is a little small, but I feel like it does improve the performance of a workstation. You might have noticed that down here we've got the Action Center warning us about things, and we've also got some icons hidden in the double arrows. I like to disable this functionality by right-clicking on the taskbar, going to Properties, customizing my notification icons, always showing all icons and notifications to get rid of the double arrows, turn system icons on or off, and getting rid of the Action Center. We hit OK to close all of these windows, and we no longer have a condensed notification tray. I feel like this is very handy for maintaining your computer so you can make sure that nothing is running in the background without your permission. And it also gets rid of that annoying Action Center icon. Now, one of the big differences for stability and performance of a Windows 7 workstation is what it improved on in Windows XP. Windows XP did not have the automatic disk defrag utility. So if I go ahead and open up the disk defragmenter utility, I can verify that my disk is set to have scheduled defragmentation, which is a very good thing to have on. If you're running a solid-state drive, you're going to want to make sure that you turn this off, as it will unnecessarily wear out your solid-state drive. But anyone else using traditional hardware should make sure that the defragger is on, and that way you never have to worry about defragging your own disk. Another big difference here is that we're not going to be turning off the indexing service, as it's extremely useful and significantly more optimized in Windows 7. The next thing I'd like to show you how to do is to run the disk cleanup utility, just like we did in Windows XP. If I go ahead and type in disk clean in the search bar, it pops right up as the first option. It automatically selects the C drive, and the first thing I'm going to do is hit this cleanup system files button. As Windows XP did this automatically, we want to make sure we're grabbing every location in Windows 7. So now I'm going to go ahead and select all these checkboxes to make sure it's getting rid of everything. And then hit the OK button and delete files. Again, this is a brand new Windows 7 workstation, so there's not a lot of stuff for it to clean up, and it's already completed. Just like in Windows XP, again we can run the disk error checking utility to make sure our disks are running correctly. I'm going to go ahead and open my computer for this one, as this can vary from disk to disk. Right-clicking on the C drive and hitting Properties, I now can go to Tools and hit Check Now. I'm going to automatically fix file system errors again, as well as scan for and attempt recovery of bad sectors, just in case my drive is really old, and then hit the Start button. Once again, since it's trying to check things that are integral to the system, it's going to request to run at the next reboot. So I'll go ahead and schedule that, hit OK, and then close out of my computer. I wanted to make sure you guys could see what a disk check looks like. It just kind of boots right up into this and waits for a couple moments, and then just goes ahead and starts checking the disk. It does take a little bit longer than Windows XP, but it is a very valuable process to make sure that your disks are healthy and in good working condition. I'm going to skip the rest of this because it might take a little bit longer here. Just like the previous episode, I'm going to go ahead and open up Internet Explorer. Again, Microsoft sets our web page to MSN, which is loaded with these slow flash videos and images that really slow down our machine. So if I go ahead and open up the Tools menu and then Internet Options, it again takes us right into where we need to go. So I'm just going to type google.com, hit OK, close Internet Explorer, and then open Internet Explorer again. In case you're wondering how to get rid of this Bing search, just going to the Google homepage does pop open this search bar search engine changer. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Sure, make this my default search provider, and Add, which as you can see has removed Bing from the automatic search bar in Internet Explorer. And once I'm done with that, I can go ahead and close Internet Explorer. Now, just like in Windows XP, we want to make sure that there are no erroneous processes running in the background slowing down our computer. So if we go down to the Start menu, type in MSConfig, hit Enter. This is the same menu you saw in Windows XP, however we're going to want to go to the Startup tab again, and since there's nothing on this computer except for the two things that I've installed, I'm not going to make any changes, but again, make sure you carefully navigate. Don't accidentally turn off your wireless card or something similar like that. Since I'm not making any changes, I'm going to hit Cancel. Now in Windows 7, there is another place where startup entries can exist, and that's in the Start menu once again, All Programs, and the Startup folder. It's rare that something puts an entry in here, but it is an option, and if there are any executables in this folder, they will run when Windows starts. My suggestion for Windows 7 is that you also run Microsoft Security Essentials as your antivirus. I prefer it over the other antiviruses that are out there, mainly because it's free and it doesn't slow down your computer. If you go to Internet Explorer, navigate using the URL bar to HowToIT.com. You can then scroll down to Microsoft Security Essentials, hit Get Installer, hit Download Installer, and run the HowToIT installer. Since I already have it installed, it will skip it. So I can go ahead and close down HowToIT, close down Internet Explorer. If you already have Microsoft Security Essentials running and you want to make sure it's fully optimized for speed, you can go ahead and open up MSSE. We're going to go to the Settings tab, go to the Realtime Protection option, and make sure that this is not checked. This still lets you scan your PC regularly on demand, but it makes sure that the continuous process that examines your windows over and over is not running, which it can slow down your computer occasionally, but in general it is this is probably the best antivirus you can get for Windows 7. The next thing I'm going to show you can really slow down your computer, especially your network speed if you're not expecting it. Windows Updates, of course, is trying to restart my computer even as I'm filming these segments. So I'm going to go down to the Start menu, type in the word Update, which will automatically take me to Windows Update. From here I want to go to the Change Settings menu, and using the drop-down box, I'm going to have it check for updates, but let me choose whether I want to download and install them. This is very handy as it will let you use some of the features of Windows Update without committing to a full download package. Just like in Windows XP, there are processes in Windows that are actively trying to slow down your hardware, so we're going to go ahead and disable those as well. If we go down to the Start menu, type in the word Power. Down here we do have the Power Options, which will take us right to where we're trying to go. If I go ahead and do Change Plan Settings and Change Advanced Power Settings, what I'm going to go through here and do is make sure that the computer is not trying to slow down any of my hardware. In hard disk, all those settings are okay. We can ignore those. Desktop background settings, we want to make sure that we disable the desktop slideshow. Otherwise, sometimes Windows likes to scroll through different backgrounds as we're using the computer. In the wireless adapter settings, if you're using wireless, you want to make sure this is set to maximum performance. If you're using a desktop, for the most part I like to have this set to 0 to never sleep, as if I'm leaving the desktop for more than 30 minutes I prefer to turn it off. For USB settings, Selective Suspend allows the computer to turn some USB devices off on its own, so we can disable that. For power buttons, I'm a fan of having the power button do a shutdown rather than sleep. For processor power management, the only thing you're going to want to check in here is to make sure the maximum processor state is set at 100%. And then for display, I'm okay with leaving this at the default of 10 minutes. So we can go ahead and hit apply. Alternatively, if you don't feel like using that menu, you can use this menu here and just show additional plans and just choose the high performance option. But again, this is leaving it up to a template rather than your own personalized power settings. So now we can go ahead and close that screen. Now the most important thing you can do to any Windows 7 workstation is of course restart it regularly. So to finish off for today, I'm going to go ahead and hit my start button. I'm going to use the arrow next to shutdown and restart the computer. Now when you shut down and restart your computer after making a change to Windows features, it does have to reconfigure part of Windows. So when you turn off and restart again, you will see a screen similar to this, where it's just going through and making those package changes that we requested earlier. So I'll let this go ahead and complete so you can see what this looks like. And we can see that now that we've removed the Windows feature, when I right-click on the desktop, it no longer shows the option for Windows gadgets. The last thing I'd like to show you is how to use the Task Manager to see exactly what's taking up the resources of your computer. By going down to the taskbar, right-clicking, and hitting Start Task Manager, I don't even have to hit Control-Alt-Delete to get here. Visiting the Processes tab, I can sort by the current memory that a process is using. Let me expand this out a little bit. I can sort by the memory that the process is using, as well as the amount of my available computing space that the process is using. This can be handy if you've done some optimization but still aren't sure of what's making your computer run slowly. Here in the Networking tab, I can also see if my computer is using up too much of my networking speed. And in the Performance tab, I can see a real-time graph of my CPU usage as well as my memory usage. The Resource Monitor located down here is for advanced users, and through this screen we can see a more in-depth view of what exactly is taking up our resources in the computer. Well, that's it for this episode of HowToIT. I'm hoping you learned something today about how to make your Windows 7 workstation run a bit faster with some easy steps. Again, here's a cheat sheet of everything we did today, as well as a brief summary. There is 2 pages to this for all of those that are saving screenshots. First thing we did was disable the appearance options to make sure Windows is not spending processing time making things look pretty. We got rid of the desktop background to make sure it's not trying to load up additional wallpapers. We got rid of the unsecure and slow Windows Gadget platform to make sure our desktop's at full speed here. We disabled the user account control to avoid having that dim gray overlay appear on the desktop. We expanded out our notification tray. We made sure the disk defragmenter was automatically going and making sure our disk was defragged regularly. We ran a disk cleanup again, same as Windows XP. Check disk as well. We saw how the check disk screen was slightly different than the Windows XP being black rather than blue. We changed our Internet Explorer homepage exactly like in Windows XP using the Tools and Internet Options menu. And on page 2 here, we made sure our startup entries did not contain any slow programs or viruses. We disabled our existing antivirus and either removed it or installed a new antivirus, Microsoft Security Essentials. We went through and made sure that Windows Update was not downloading and installing updates in the background, which can really cause an unexpected drop in performance on the computer. We went through our power options to make sure that the power supply of the computer wasn't slowing our hardware down. And finally, I showed you how to go through the task manager. In case you're still running into issues with performance, you can use the task manager to see exactly what processes are slowing down your computer. Once again, my name is John. I hope you had a good time on HowToIT today. As always, I welcome comments and compliments at any time on YouTube. You can also find me on Twitter and Facebook as HowToIT. Have a good day.